Hi, this is Fern G. Carr, website www.ferngzcarr.com. Welcome to my Facebook Live reading, Birds, Art, Part 3, Q&A. So I'm going to look at the comments section. I see that there is one comment here, and thank you very much for that. Excuse me for that. Um, Sandy says, "Hi Fern, when is your most creative time?" Really good question. I find that I'm always freshest in the morning. I think that a good night's sleep just rejuvenates the brain and it allows you just to have the creative juices flowing a little bit more. But that's just for me personally. Some people tend to be night owls and they focus better. On the other hand, I personally don't uh, don't have a lot of energy by late at night, and that wouldn't be the best time for me to do my work. And it's interesting too, and I've mentioned this at some of the other readings that I've done. I used to keep a journal of ideas beside my bed so that if I woke up in the middle of the night, what I would do if I had an idea for a poem, would wake me up and I would just write it down in this journal. And then I thought, okay, in the morning when I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I would be able to write a poem right away. But since then, I haven't continued that practice because I just felt that, if an idea is powerful enough for me, it's something that I will remember later on. And actually, sort of in a similar vein, I've written a few articles about writing poetry, and I've also done some videos as well for emerging poets. Different ideas, how to write poetry, how to do poetry readings, how to keep records. Some of the articles that have been published by the Federation of BC Writers, I just had a couple published recently. Um, One was about writing poetry, how to get started. Um, Another one was poetic intersections, and I was talking about the convergence, the intersectionality of poetry and all kinds of other domains. And when I say all kinds of other domains, I don't mean just like, okay, I'm writing a science poem, but I'm talking about uh, when a poem actually becomes science or it becomes music. And also I talked about how important it is, I think, for poets to use their craft globally, to use their work for good. So how I've contributed some of my poetry, to help further global causes, like for educating children, Doctors Without Borders, animal welfare. There are all kinds of applications, and I would really encourage people to do that. Bonnie asks, is there a relationship for you between the two themes you choose each week? By the way, I love the posters. Thank you. I had to learn a lot about graphic design for those posters, let me tell you. Crash course in Photoshop and a bunch of other programs. But anyway, I appreciate that. Thank you for noticing. Um, the themes, what I've basically done in terms of a relationship between the themes, I it's not so much that there's a relationship. I like to try to have a bit of variety, but what I do is I want to have something with hopefully broad public appeal. Since the readings are open to the public, I didn't want them to be too cryptic or too artsy, for lack of a better word. So I just try to think of poems that would appeal to people, and also I've chosen poems that have all been previously published at least minimum of once or multiple times, because I thought that, well, if people cared enough to publish them, they were interested in them. So hopefully these would be of interest to other people as well. All right, well, I see that my time is up, and I wanted to thank you again for attending. I would invite you to please join me for the next 2 Saturdays for more themed poetry readings. And next week's themes are family and water. So thank you again. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Bye for now. Acknowledgements. Part 3 is an excerpt from the original full video, which was kindly sponsored by the League of Canadian Poets and the Canada Council for the Arts. Thanks very much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, and please be sure to subscribe. For more poetry, my book Shards of Crystal is available on Amazon. Thanks again, and stay tuned for a new video every Wednesday.